All right, recording has started. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on board. Yeah, I'll just let you introduce yourself and introduce a little bit about the project that you're showcasing tonight.
Okay, so I go by the name of Chocolate Dip in the ChurroSwap team. I'm mainly responsible for the graphic design and content writing stuff. Uh, the rest of our team comprises of a few marketers, a blockchain developer, and one of the guys who's into crypto. He mostly provides most of the funding. You might know him as Shaggy. So that's pretty much our team. ChurroSwap started off with an idea that, there are dexes out there that do so and so. So we wanted to bring something unique to the table. It was like dexes are a really good opportunity to cash in for a lot of people. A lot of people look forward to new chains being launched and the relative dexes that would be launching with them. So ChurroSwap was the idea that came to mind, and we were going to go for different dexes. One of the things that we wanted to become a dex for was the Pulse chain. That is what we're currently targeting. So yeah, that's about it. I'll go into more details about what makes this project unique, but I think that should be enough to explain what we're going for.
All right, awesome. So my first question is, for people who don't know, what is the Pulse chain on which you're planning to launch?
Can you repeat that, please?
So as I was saying, for people who are listening who maybe don't know, could you talk a little bit more about this Pulse chain on which you're planning to launch?
So Pulse chain, for now, for what we've looked at so far, it seems like the biggest chain launch that is going to happen around this quarter. The issue that we're having right now is that Pulse chain seems to be getting delayed indefinitely, so we might have to change our intentions of actually launching there. It's been going about like this for, I'd say, 9 to 10 months. Like, it's been going on since last year, but around March we were of the impression that we think it's going to launch. It's getting really near. There was a lot of hype that was building around it, but there seems to be a lot more radio silence now in like July. So we might go with it in a different direction. Another thing that has been roadblocked for us is the DEX's functionality. We want to integrate a lot of things into the DEX, and that is proving to be a challenge for us.
Okay, so thank you for that, and thank you for your honesty on Pulse. Yeah, we saw it was getting delayed. One of the arguments from what I was reading is that its founder didn't want it to release it at the top, and he is trying to sort of time the bottom, let's say, to release his chain. That definitely, which I guess for him it would be to kind of catch some hype launching it. But again, those are just guesses. So now on your swap, there's going to be very, very few projects early on, like DeFi projects on that chain. Could you just talk a bit about the swap and what's going to be making that swap particular in comparison to other potential swaps launching, or if you can put a comparison to an existing swap on potentially PancakeSwap or even the Chronos chain?
Okay, so as far as the Chronos chain goes, that was all speculation that, they might launch during, when we get to the extreme dip, but it does not seem that way, like, at this point in time. But that was the speculation. Anyway, about the DEX itself, of course, there wouldn't be that many projects at the start, but what we were aiming for was long-term longevity. And that's something that a lot of typical tokens and coins that are getting launched these days, they don't seem to exhibit anymore. There's just too many people that are into crypto now, into the DeFi space, and it just ends up being a pump and dump scheme rather than anything more meaningful. The reason being, a lot of people are here for the money, even though they seemingly care about the use case. What they're here for is actually turning up in a profit and walking away with it. So that's why we finally realized that we should work on something much more sustainable, which was a DEX. Just need to find the right chain for it to go with. So ChurroSwap, as far as ChurroSwap goes, Churro is kind of, you could say it sounds similar to Chronos. So ChronoSwap, ChurroSwap, that kind of thing. That's what we were going with. And you would see a lot of themes that go in and out of the concept of churros and Chronos in itself. What we offer in particular in our DEX is you have the usual swapping, and you can add and remove liquidity. You can stake if certain coins are offering it, and you can get it into those raffle draws and all of that stuff. But that's the basic cookie cutter features that you have on a lot of DEXs. What we were offering that was unique in particular, that we wanted to have a payout system so you could earn passive income. It's quite similar to staking, but it would be happening from the DEX itself. So you would be getting those rewards from the tokens that we earn by the people that are swapping. So it's basically the transaction tax. Another thing that we're offering is the feature that you can actually request the DEX to force a KYC upon a certain trading pair. So let's say I launch an XYZ coin on the Chronos chain. If people start becoming skeptical of the intentions of said project, they could actually start voting for a KYC, and our DEX would be able to automatically pause trading for that token until they complete a KYC for themselves. So that was that added layer of safety. It's something that we wanted to see when we were day trading ourselves. So we think it's a feature that would be meaningful for a lot of other people out there. So that's one of the main features. That's like our flagship feature for ChurroSwap.
So, okay, so interesting. So basically, I have a few questions with that. First off, are you going to get what's your plans to get projects to launch on your swap? Do you have any marketing plans for that? And the second one is, how are you going to be structuring your your pre-sale, your seed sale, your private sale? I know from being an investor in Libero Titano, that there's going to be a part of it that's going to be an airdrop as well. So could you just give us a bit more details on both of these aspects?
Okay, so for people who are holding Libero Titanos, they would be able to swap their tokens against Churro tokens. So far as I know, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure it's mostly accurate. You would be able to swap your Libero tokens 1-to-1 with ChurroSwap tokens, but ChurroSwap would probably have a higher supply, so it would be like 1.5 to 2 times larger than what you would see on Libero Titano.
Okay, awesome.
So,
And for the and then for the and for the way you guys are going to be structuring your pre-sale, private sale, what are you guys' plan basically? Or are you waiting on more information from Pulse Chain to start?
Like I said at the beginning, we might not even wait for Pulse Chain. We might go with a different coin altogether, like a different network that looks promising to us and is going to launch soon. Of course, what we planned initially was to ChronoSwap, and we might go ahead with it if things start looking up again. But as of right now, that's the reason behind the delay. It's been going on for like 2 to 3 months, I think, now, ChurroSwap. So that's one of the main challenges that we're facing, apart from seeing how far we can push the features that we have.
Okay. And what is going to be your guys' targets in terms of hard cap, soft cap, and or even in terms of doing a seed private sell for your project? If you know it, if you don't, then that's fine.
I don't think it has been decided yet, as far as I know.
Fairly well. Well, I can see there's a lot of questions out there. So I don't know if you have anything else to add on that. Maybe something that you want to mention on that before we get into the community questions.
I think it will be smart for me to just share the website design that we have so far.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I'll see if I
Awesome.
can share.
And you can also send. Wait, maybe it's not live yet. If not, I will just have shared the link with the community. But if it's not live, you can just share it. Share your screen. I guess I'm not. I think you're
I'll
able to do it.
just share my screen.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so this is the design that we have. The reason that this has not been uploaded as a website is because there is a lot on the back end that cannot go on a typical server. We would have to use something like Heroku, and on a server like that, we can actually bring in all of the functionality that you would expect on a deck. So you can't just go to a normal domain hosting website and just get it, uploaded. So this is the front page that you would see. This is the design and everything that we have. This was finalized about a month or so ago. This was the flagship feature that we had, that you can pause your trading and order a KYC. Essentially, you're forcing the KYC upon a certain token. If basically the community starts feeling that this token is starting to act suspicious, or they might not have the best intentions, they look like they're about to rug or have just abandoned the project. So you can force a KYC on them. You'll see a trading pause notification, and they'll have to go through a KYC process. Furthermore, there's the passive income thing. It's basically staking that you have with your own DEX tokens. That's the best way I could describe it simply. But it would have a lot more to it than just
Chocolate dip. I think you froze. Yeah, I think chocolate dip froze. Unless I did. We'll just wait a few minutes. Yeah, chocolate dip definitely froze. So I'm reading all your question, guys. That's awesome. Lots and lots of questions. Let's see a super question. We want to speak. That's a mean question. Okay. Nice. Okay, so there we go. Yep, you're allowed to speak, chocolate dip.
Okay, is my sound coming through?
Yep.
Okay.
I think you lost connection for a little bit.
Yeah, could you help me out with where I was before I disconnected? I kept on talking.
You were talking about the KYC process.
Okay, we were in the KYC process. So basically, that's KYC process is that force the KYC upon a certain project. If you begin to see that the project is basically acting suspicious, or they might run or they might just have abandoned the project altogether. So that's something that the community can vote for. And if we see significant votes against the trading volume, we could freeze the trading for that pair, and they would have to go through a KYC before trading can be resumed again.
Okay,
We
that's
would
a
be
super
instead,
interesting feature. Yeah. That's a very
so
interesting
what we're,
feature. So you'd be able to control basically
yeah,
their
to get
token,
listed,
right?
they would have to essentially get their liquidity vetted through us. So we would be able to lock that liquidity with ourselves. So they would not be able to touch it. ChurroSwap would also be offering a locker, so you can actually, if you're a project owner, you can come in, you can pay to get your own tokens locked, their liquidity, basically.
Okay, so no need to go through Mudra or other websites who swaps. You could directly do it through yours, right?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Uh,
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
okay, then there's the passive income.
Mm-hmm.
This time, instead of what we were going with Libera Titano, which was a fixed APY, we are going with a variable APY. The APY would depend on the DEX's trading volume. So you would be getting a portion of that depending on your holdings. So that's basically how the passive income works in ChurroSwap.
Okay.
Moving ahead, we have the roadmap, and right here, as you can see, we still have dummy text. Uh, what we plan to do is, again, like I mentioned before, we're seeing how far we can push all the features. So most of them are working, like the swap and liquidity and locker, those things are all working. But the KYC thing, there is a lot of protocol that has to go behind such features. You can't really play with fire in a sense. So that's something that we're continuously working on. It works, but again, we want it to be foolproof, and there shouldn't be like any loopholes or workarounds to that. So as we finalize our features, we would be able to list them out in the roadmap. So this is probably the only part of the website that does not have the content finalized. Oh, and finally, there was this. This was like a splinter feature that we went for near the end. This was started about, I think, 4 weeks ago. So you can actually earn churro tokens by sleeping, and there would be an app that you would download from the Play Store or Apple Store, and that app would be able to track your sleep, and it would, wait, was it sleep or was it something else? I feel like this is a typo. It was walk to earn. Yeah, it's a walk to earn app. And I have the APK on my phone, I just checked. So it's a walk to earn app, it's going to count your steps, and it's basically the same move to earn feature. We wanted to go with a sleep to earn, hence the content over here, but it wasn't very feasible, and it's very easy to game. You can easily cheat on a system like this using your phone, so we had to forego this.
Okay.
So I think that's just about it for our website. We can start with the
Interesting.
questions.
Interesting. Yeah. So I definitely think the KYC feature is one of the most interesting for sure. If you can enforce it, especially on a new chain, I think you're definitely at an advantage with it. So yeah, I guess we can go on with the questions of our community. So I'm going to be reading. Bear market. So we have a question from Metaverse that says bear market will not be easy for new product to survive. We have seen so many projects fail and survive in the bear market. Have you thought about this? What are your plans on surviving the bear market?
Okay,
That,
that's
that's a
an
hard one.
easy one to answer.
Yeah, easy one, I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, that's the reason we went for a DEX. Um, even when the bull market started to look down, there was that phase where a lot of projects just would not seem to succeed. They would like go really high up, like they would rise astronomically and they would come crashing down in the next few days. Like that's how I've seen every other DeFi project. Like after a month after launch, you would see tokens that got KYC'd, audited, they'd be on CG, CMC everywhere, and they'd just be sitting at zero. The team, they even if they were trying, they would not be able to pick it back up because that's what crypto had dwindled down to. People would just come in, take their profits, and never look back at the project again. So that's the reason we actually went for a DEX. It's for the longevity. Even if there's no such thing as survival for a project like this, it just exists, and it would be successful if there were a bull market around the corner. So I see it as a win-win situation. That's the main reason that we went for a DEX instead of a new shitcoin or something.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you for that answer. So we have another answer on your tokenomics. I don't. You've talked about a supply that would be twice as large as Libero Titano. Do you have any other intels to give about your tokenomics yet, or is it too early?
We don't have any specific numbers, at least I don't, but I do know the parameters that we would be working with. So this was one of the things that we would be slightly increasing the supply. So if everyone claims their tokens, there would still be a lot of room to get listed on centralized exchanges, and there would be enough room to actually market the DEX and everything. So that's the reason that we had to increase the total supply. Of course, it's not like an ideal situation to be increasing the supply, so people do not get as much for their money as they did before. But we aim to make up for it with how much people, contribute to the token that basically the token for the DEX itself, and would make it grow with all the marketing.
Okay,
like that's what
awesome.
we want to leverage.
Yeah, no, yeah, I understand. It's
I kind of got mixed up there.
yeah, no, it's yeah, because the next question, it's funny because the next question is like kind of going around like towards that, saying what is the structure of your pre-sale and how will you make sure you won't repeat the mistakes of Libero Titano. Okay, super ape. Yeah. So yeah, that was the next question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, obviously.
No, I think it's good that we would have to answer that question. There is a lot of thought that goes into making any project. That goes for Libero Titano, and the same goes for ChurroSwap. But it is, even though I would say it's a hard question, it's a question I should force myself to answer just for the accountability of it. So one of the things that I mentioned was the failure of Libero Titano. Maybe it was the market, maybe it was the way we marketed. Maybe it could be like one of the things that I'm most likely leaning towards to is the fact that the APY was crazy high. It's just not sustainable even for a DAO to manage it. Even if it were to perfectly manage your funds, it would cause the contract to eventually break if people actually, took it forward and made it a successful project. So those were some glaring issues that I saw and a few other members of the team saw as well. But of course, around that time, there was that hype of, there's these projects with crazy high fixed APYs, or so to speak, like Titano and Libero, the projects that basically inspired Libero Titano. So even those projects, like they went down and they went down really quick. So your crazy high APY could still not make up for it. So that's one of the biggest reasons I see, but there could be a lot more to blame. So that's the issue I see with Libero Titano. Here, the thing that I see is that we need to time the launch correctly. That's the thing that has made us the most apprehensive about it. We want to see this project succeed. It would be beneficial to us and it would be beneficial to the community.
Yeah, no, I'm reading questions. There's a lot of questions. People are really worried on launch. I'm seeing the keywords dumping, bear market. There's definitely something that's on everybody's mind at the moment, especially for pre-sale. Almost every pre-sale we see at the moment just doesn't perform very well. So I totally do understand your issue with timing. Okay, so let's see what other questions do we have here. Um, so there's a question. Is there like an insurance policy or financial partnership that you will have for your holders? So I guess some sort of like refund fund like we've seen some projects do when they go out with pre-sales.
No, there's just that airdrop that we talked about earlier for the Libero Titano holders. And at the same time, there's that passive income thing. So if you hold DEX tokens, you would be able to earn income passively from the trading volume. So let's say, let's just assume the worst, and we have a really bad market. So your tokens would not give you much, but even if they don't have that much intrinsic value, if you have more and more tokens launching on the Chronos chain and they experience a very high trading volume, you would be making good money from it, maybe even more money in like a day than you had ever invested in the DEX token itself. So there are, of course, possibilities like these. So that's what I was talking about when I said longevity. It wasn't like the token itself actually providing value, but the token in one way or the other, it brings value to the table for you. So you don't walk away penniless.
Okay. So I have well, let's take two more questions because then after we're going to be running out of time. We have a question on by Media Marketer, which is if trading is paused in your DEX for a product to complete KYC, how would you handle active open trades? Second question from him is how secure is your product because a wallet would have to be connected in order to trade or swap. So security and in your Telegram, the community is still on the low side. How will you grow the community? Those are the three questions from Media Marketer.
Okay, so the first thing that we would be doing when we're serious about launching the project, like a week or two earlier, we would actually kickstart the marketing over again. We would be putting out ads on KuCoin and so on. And at the same time, it's interesting that they mention how we'll handle trades that are ongoing. So when you lock up the liquidity, first of all, your trades would still go through. But as you start locking them in, preventing them to be used in any form whatsoever, they would stop trading altogether. So if you had a trade that was ongoing during the time the liquidity was locked, your trade would still go through. And after that, your trading would be completely frozen. That's when we'll be forcing the KYC. Of course, this isn't something that's desirable. It's like an extreme case. The reason I'm saying this is that let's say a project has over a $1 million trading volume. It would be really hard for you to expect that that project would suddenly stop trading. That is not going to happen. We're talking about projects that lasted a week or so, and like 3 to 4 days later, there's barely any trade going on, or a project, maybe the team has started to become unresponsive. Maybe they're just relying on the transaction funds and everything before they can walk away. So that's like a telltale sign of a rug pull about to happen. So it's probably, if you ever see it happening, it would be happening in like the second, third week at max. And you would not expect it to happen in a good, solid project where you just invested and you just wake up one day to find out that all the trades have been locked. It's not a situation that's beneficial to the buyers and sellers if we just lock trading altogether. It's an extreme case. It's a situation where people see no other option. People would actually have to vote for it. Like the community would have to come forward and say, this guy, we do not like this project. This guy seems suspicious. He might rug us. He's not being responsive or whatever. When people come forth like that, and they have to come forth in like a good number. Like it definitely depends on the project, if the project is small or large, but there should be a sizable number of people from that community that step forward and want the project to be shut down and get KYC'd. So it's not something that people should worry about. This is something that we have in mind as well. We can't just lock liquidity and sit down and wait for them to get KYC'd.
Yeah, no, I do understand. It's definitely like a rough decision to make because I'm sure that other decks which will be less regarding and simpler to like with less, it's definitely going to be a challenge to market to people and to devs as well, because you have to take into account both, to make it easy for devs and for people's security. So, it's a telltale. Hopefully, in the bullish market, more legit project will launch, and the ones that will be more legit will be more inclined to launch on your swap. So we have we're going to be taking one last question, guys, because it's getting a little bit late for everybody. Do you intend to make ChurroSwap a cross-chain DEX aggregator eventually? From Sujay.
I didn't really catch that. Could you elaborate on it or just repeat the question?
So, do you intend to make ChurroSwap a cross-chain DEX aggregator? So basically,
yes.
Yeah,
basically, they're asking about bridging. Am I correct to assume that?
Yeah.
I'm not a blockchain developer, so I might be a little confused. Okay, so yes. there would be bridging. We would be bridging between what have I heard so far? There would be a BNB bridge, BNB to Churro, BNB to Chronos, and the Ethereum chain to Chronos. Those two are definitely on the list. Of course, when you want to trade with a certain DEX or on a certain chain, you would want to have your tokens on that chain so that you can trade on a DEX. And like the most likely candidates are BNB and Ethereum. People have a lot of holdings there, and a lot of people would be swapping their tokens over from like Ethereum, the Ethereum chain or the BNB chain. We also had Phantom in mind, but it seems to have gone the way of the dodo. So far I can say Ethereum and BNB, that's what we'll be bridging. And yes, there would be a bridge functionality. I am not up to date on if it has been tested, but I don't think it would be that big of a challenge. I do know some features have been tested, and we're definitely sure that they work and we can get them up and running.
Okay, so thank you for that. Do you have the time for one last question that Anselm is asking?
Sure.
Okay, so I saw on your Telegram that there is going to be a degen launchpad. We know that most degens are risky short-term plays. Question is, what are the security measures taken, the protocols given that the project's being launched on your launchpad? How do you secure the safety of investors into the product launch? Well, that's a long question just to say that, how will you guarantee, will we do anything to provide security for, riskier
It's a really good question. It's a really good question, and I completely forgot to mention this feature. This would be coming on down the line, so it would not be available at launch. Basically, the degen launchpad. We've been wanting to do this in previous projects, but this is not one that we're going with now. So you are required to get your liquidity locked. That is a basic requirement, and that's the way that we'll get people to pay for the degen launchpad. That's something that we've been wanting to see ourselves. That a place where we can see shitcoins getting launched, and but at the same time we can rest easy that they would not rug pull or do something like that, pull off something of that sort. The thing is, I do not expect this is you could say personal advice, not professional advice, but I do not expect serious projects on degen launchpads, even on our own. So when people come, there is a more than likely chance that most of the projects on our degen launchpad would be projects that ride the hype, and the hype slowly dies off, and that would be the end of it. So that's something that I expect of the degen launchpads, but what people can rest assured about is that they cannot expect hard rugs to happen. You can come in and invest, you can time the market, you can get out. It's a risky maneuver to take, but a lot of people in the crypto community, in the DeFi space, this is what they do. This is what they take a deep interest in. So this is what we want to deliver to the community.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. So we're going to end it up here. Do you have any final words? Guys, you feel also there's going to be some BNB giveaways for the best questions on their Telegram, on the ChurroSwap Telegram. So make sure you join it. So they will get the best question there. Chocolate Dip, do you have any last final closing remarks for this amen for the community and for the YouTubers who are going to be listening later?
No, I think that's about it from my side. I'm not sure if I missed out on anything, but we'd make sure to announce it in our group.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys also for tuning in. I know it's a bit later than what we usually do. Thank you for coming in. Make sure to join the ChurroSwap Telegram to check them out. So it's going to be an interesting product, especially if they can launch on Pulsion for sure. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you guys. Maybe sometime later when you guys will be closer to launch.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys, we're going to be closing the AMA now, and yeah, we'll be posting some links afterwards to their social, or even if you guys want to send us anything else that you want to be posted, we'll post it as well. All right, there you guys. Bye.